I know that Mark Fraser and I regularly bring you swimming videos with tips on how to swim faster or how to improve your stroke. And just because we know how to help you guys with your swimming doesn't mean that we think our own strokes are perfect. In fact, in my case, I know my stroke is far from it. So today, I thought I'd be really honest and open up and share some of the faults of my freestyle stroke. But I'm then going to be covering some drills which I could be doing at home and also in the pool, which I'm sure you guys could benefit from too. I've decided to do some self-analysis of my stroke, but I'm also going to be getting a little assistance. And yes, of course, I listen to friends and obviously my fellow presenters at GTN, but I'm actually wanting to step outside of the GTN bubble and speak to a particular coach who I know will give me a very objective stroke analysis. I've chosen to speak to my former coach and friend, Robin Brew, who was an Olympic swimmer himself and now a coach. It was actually his father, Archie Brew, who taught me to swim and coached me up until the age of 15 when Robin then took over. So with more than 2 decades of having coached me, I think it's fair to say that Robin has probably seen the good, the bad and the ugly of my freestyle stroke. So it's probably time I gave him a call. So Robin, great to see you again, speak to you. I know you have seen my stroke over many, many years and you've probably seen it evolve. And just to let our viewers know, I've sent you some clips of more recent footage. First off, what are your kind of main observations of my stroke and from a critique point of view?
Well, I think the important thing to establish is that you have come from a performance swimming and pentathlon background, and there's a big difference in looking to what you do now, which is open water swimming and triathlon swimming and things like that. We worked very hard to make your stroke as efficient as it could be. We knew we had sticking points, and I think one of the things that you see in anybody's stroke, there's a signature to it, and I think you've commented before, people can tell it's you swimming. You have a style of swimming, you have a unique movement pattern to your stroke, and so do most people. And I think the thing is to look at the things that are value added to strokes rather than just breaking it down. And a lot of people are very quick to jump in and say, well, that's wrong, this should be wrong. But actually, what is the value to what you're doing?
Yeah.
We didn't worry about the things that didn't matter too much in your stroke. We worried about the things that were going to make a bigger difference. Propulsion, for example. A little bit more efficiency, for example. You didn't have the tidiest stroke, and a lot of swimmers don't, but you had an effective stroke. And so I'm coming in with the positives, Heather. So.
Okay, I'm bracing myself. It's been a very lovely start. But now if we sort of get to the point, and I think of all the years of working with you and with Archie and with other coaches, it's like, and probably the majority of our viewers' main issue is the elbow in the actual pull. And I don't know what your thoughts are from those clips, and some angles it looks better than others, and it's something that, especially when we're filming, I'm probably even more conscious of trying to keep it high. But is that something that you would really notice still in my stroke, and if so, what I can do about it?
Yeah, okay, so again, a lot of coaches, a lot of athletes will look to an obvious point, high elbow. We need a high elbow in the stroke. A high elbow generates more propulsion, gives you a better catch, you get more connectivity with the water, you've got more leverage. So everybody wants a high elbow, but you've got to look at what's stopping you getting a high elbow. And when you look at your stroke, your balance in the water at the moment is significantly out. You've got excessive body roll in the stroke, your hips are rolling way too far. And if you imagine a boat in a choppy sea, it's listing from side to side, and how can you stay balanced and get a connection when there's so much movement? So first thing for me would be to sort your body position out, because there's way too much movement. You're rolling around, you've got a body roll. Yes, you need a body roll, but not as much as that. There's a little bit of a disconnect between the hips and the shoulders, and you've always been a shoulder-led swimmer. Now, what does that mean? Mm-hmm. It means that you know when you've got out the pool and your shoulders are killing you, and that defines your stroke. You've never really been able to get the pressure on your upper chest and your lats. When your lats work for you, you then know you've got that connectivity with a nice high elbow. So I watched you swim. The whole movement pattern is quite deep. It's led from the shoulder, and it's very hard then to strip that back and say, let's get a high elbow, because you've missed it. You're moving too quickly.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Now, obviously, we're in a weird situation at the moment where we can't get to the pool as much as we'd want to. What would you give me to take away from this, both is that if there is anything land-based I could do, and when we can get back in the pool, what I could be doing to work towards this?
Well, there's a whole bunch of things. I mean, first of all, you don't have a swimming engine, a biking engine, a running engine. You know, everybody's out there. You can see it on social media, keeping fit. Well, that's great. That's got to be the first thing to do. To be a little bit more functional in the movement pattern, to train them, to try fiber recruitment going that's relative to swimming. Using stretch cords is a great way to do that. One of the things I did training for the Olympics was use ice kinetic machines, and we've got you on them before, if you remember, at Kelly, and under the gym, the ice kinetic machines there. They were fantastic for dry land work. Now, not everybody's got an ice kinetic machine, and they're hard to find. So just use a Swiss ball or a bench or something like that to lie down. Put your body in a similar position that would be, as prone as you would be in the water, and then maybe hook your stretch cords up and do the stroke on your back, not on your front. Now that's an interesting concept, because on your front, you're fighting against gravity, you've got the balls in the way, but if you imagine lying on your back, you could really stretch out at the catch at the front and follow the stroke pattern through the whole body right the way to the end without interference and with optimizing control. So, and you can see it that way. You can look and watch your hands and actually think about what your hands are doing. We've done some videos and sent them out to people, and it's bizarre how the video is correct, and they've sent me videos back of what they've been doing, but you look, how can you get that so badly wrong when it's there in front of you? But it's about movement patterning, and it helps people get it right. Shoulder stability is another one. Simple things like pullovers with small dumbbells. If you haven't got any dumbbells, put two, full water bottles in your hand, or, get something that gives a little bit of resistance. Again, use elastics, find a way of creating resistance, and, just simple movements that replicate the stroke mechanics is quite a good thing, and it will. The other thing is, I think, take time to watch clips of good swim strokes and then visualize. I absolutely love visualization, because you've got to have an understanding of what you're doing, and you've seen the videos you are doing, and I bet you think you're not doing that when you're swimming, and you see it, well, that doesn't look quite right. I think I'm doing this. Well, start imagining correcting those things you want to, and use the technique of imagery and visualization to help you create some better movement patterns, because there's a whole load of evidence out there to say thinking about it does actually work. Thinking about how you want to make those movement patterns, putting the stroke in your mind's eye of the perfect model, and trying to replicate it and feel it if you can. So there's loads of things that, it doesn't have to be all effort.
When I go back to the pool, what drills or what could I be doing to actually help me find that natural timing again? Right,
well, in terms of triathletes going fast, or 200 freestylers going fast, or 1500 freestylers going fast, the timing really, it's very, very unusual. You'll get some outliers, but they would be less than 1% that have a timing that is not at the front of the stroke. And what we mean by that is that the two hands are always close together. As one hand enters the water, the other hand is exiting the water. So you've got this thing called catch and exit. That's got to be, pretty set. So as your hand's going forward, the other one's coming out. As the other hand's coming forward over the recovery, you've got to have almost got this catch-up feel to it. Now, it's not, you can start by doing pure catch-up and then work back. Now, a lot of people can't do kata. They don't know how to do it. So if you leave one hand extended and put the other beside it and simply kick for 6 beats of the leg and then pull the other hand through, back to the front, kick for 6, pull the other hand, back to the front, kicks for 6, pull it. Then move on to just touching the hand. Then move on to the hand moving just before the other hand gets in. Then move on to just increasing the timing, so what I call quarter timing. You've got, and that's pretty much where the most effective stroke is, in quarter timing. So once you've got established your timing, it gives you that ability to get the stroke set up at the front, which is what is important for you. It gives you time. You'll be better balanced because the timing of the stroke is better. If you watch the videos on your leg kick, you can see how much sway you've got in the stroke, and a lot of it is because of the rotation. And I know you are thinking about your head going down. It looks pretty good, but when you breathe, your head comes up. So instead of keeping it down and rolling it, you actually keep it down, lift your head to breathe. And that adds to the twist in the stroke as well. So all those small things have a big impact further down the body. The big giveaways, don't worry about the legs, because legs look after themselves if the head is right and the body position right and the pull is right.
Very quickly, just going back to the rotation part of my stroke. Now, I feel that my rotation's got maybe increased more because I've been trying to engage my lats more. Because I find obviously if you're too flat, then it's very hard to engage your lats. How do you find that happy medium of I'm still not quite engaging my lats enough, but I'm over rotating? How do I, and how would somebody watching this work on engaging their lats? Right,
so what alluded to earlier, that you're pulling with your shoulders, so your hand is going deep and you're leading from the shoulder here. Try thinking about working from your forearm rather than your shoulder. So put the hand, point to where you want to go. Imagine that you're swimming in the water, you're looking at the bottom of the pool, and you don't look at the point, but just imagine you're pointing forward to the end of the pool. Once you've got that, it's wrist flexion, elbow flexion, and feel the water on the forearm. A really good drill is to swim with closed hands, because that takes away all the feel of the water. And so where do you have to feel the water? With your forearms. And that's a good thing to do. Using your forearms to pull really does help lift the elbow up and does engage the lats. In your case, you're a little bit late because you're going deep. You've already engaged the shoulder, and then you're trying to transfer the pressure here onto here, and you can't do it because it's loaded here. Avoid loading the shoulder. Go straight to the chest, because it's this connection with the forearm, and the chest will then, if you contract those two, teres major and minor at the back and the pectorals at the front, connect, and that's what pull the arms back. But what you're doing is you're pulling back with your shoulder, and it's a common issue, and it just needs slowing down and refining, and stay a bit flatter. Get that. Think of your hips and your upper body. What's tending to happen is your upper body's doing a bit and the hips are overdoing it. So there's a disconnect here. Lock that in. It's nothing to do with core strength. It's just to do with your kinetic chain, making it work together.
Yeah, no, I completely understand that. Final one, and we touched on my head movement. Now, I remember years ago that I'd sort of moved to bilateral, and you changed me back to breathing 2 and 4s. For this is obviously for 200 freestyle. Open water is different because of waves and where you need to look. You need to breathe on both sides, and I've definitely gone back to just breathing when I need to breathe. But I know we reduced it down to purely on my right side to limit that head movement. You've touched on excessive head movement. As a triathlon swimmer, when you do need to breathe on both sides, how can you work on reducing the head movement?
So it's when you're not turning your head to breathe, it really helps you build that symmetry of the stroke. But it's not just about keeping the head still, it's the alignment when you breathe, because what tends to happen is that people lift their head round to breathe rather than roll into the stroke to breathe. So it's balance. The more balance, swimming with fins is a good idea, in the warm-ups or warm-downs. Try not to use them in main sets, because you get this artificial assistance, you lose the feel of the water. But when you're working on skill-specific stuff, fins is great because it gives you a bit more propulsion, gives you a bit more time, a bit more length to the stroke, and And coming back to your point about should people breathe bilaterally, I think if you've got a naturally short stroke, and from what you mentioned earlier about there's a community that think actually forget the timing, just get on with stroke, you probably need to breathe bilateral because the stroke's too short. You've got a right breath, a left breath, a right, because you can't get a proper breath in. If you lengthen the stroke, you only need to breathe one side, and you can choose whether that's the right or the left side, or choose to see a buoy on the left, and you've got to practice, sometimes breathing to the left, sometimes breathing to the right. But in all the work that I do, I tend to advocate single-sided breathing, because it helps extend the stroke out. You're getting more propulsion because you've got more length, you've got more time, and you can get a bigger breath as well.
The camera doesn't lie, and it seems that the coach doesn't either. But honestly, some great and frank pointers on my stroke there, and plenty for me to work on. And yes, I know this was an analysis of my own stroke, but hopefully there were lots of similarities and crossovers that you guys could relate to and go and work on yourselves. And obviously we cover points of exercises you can do for dry land. And if you have missed our dry land videos, then go and check those out. There's ones for stretch cords and body weight exercises. You can also work on flexibility of, say, your shoulders or your ankles. It's now a time to identify any weakness in your stroke and work on it, so when you get back in the pool, you're ready to go. And I know I am certainly desperate for the pools to open and get back in and work on my own stroke. Hopefully you've enjoyed this and it's given you some ideas to your own swimming strokes. Do check out all of our social media channels as well and give them a like and a follow.